Hi everyone, in this video we're taking a look at the very final part of this question 8A from the 1998 4-unit HSC exam. So I've already done videos on part 1, 2 and 3, so have a look at those if you haven't already. This part 4 follows on directly from that. It doesn't look like it. We're told to deduce that for all y1, y2 up to yn greater than 0. Deduce that y1 on y2 plus y2 on y3 and so on, plus yn minus 1 on yn plus yn on 1, deduce that that's greater than or equal to n. And at first you might look at that and go, well, what's going on here? Where'd all these y's come from? What have they got to do with anything? But as we'll see as I work through, this follows on directly from part 3. So if you were able to get your head around part 3, you're probably very well placed to get some extra marks here. Although even if you didn't get through any of these prior parts, the beauty of a question written like this is you're given all the results that you're trying to prove. So even if you can't get all the marks to prove them, you can at least make use of them in the next bit of the question. So let's take a look. So I've written out what we're being told to deduce, and I think deduce is the operative word here because it's kind of really hinting make use of what we just showed in the prior part 3. And so I think the real skill being tested is your ability to not be put off by all these y's, but to make the link. And the link that we're dealing with is here we've got something plus something plus something and so on, and an inequality. And over here we have, well, the other way around, but something plus something plus something and so on, and an inequality. So a good place to start here will be to just define all of this in terms of what we just used, in terms of x. So let's let x1 be this first thing here, y1 on y2. And let's let x2 be y2 on y3, and so on and so on. And we'd let xn, our final x, be the final one here, yn on y1. And using this layout, we can say from part 3, from what we just worked out, or even if you didn't work it out, from what you know because it's written in the question, x1 times x2 and so on up to xn to the 1 on n, that is less than or equal to x1 plus x2 and so on up to xn on n. So if that inequality is true and we're trying to work towards an inequality, let's now insert back our y's based on these definitions. So we can say therefore y1 on y2 times y2 on y3 and so on, and I'll put in these last two terms, so yn minus 1 on yn times yn on y1. All of that is going to be less than or equal to y1 on, maybe I'll write this as, I'll bring out the 1 on n just to make it easy to write. 1 on n times y1 on y2 plus y2 on y3 and so on, just up to the last one, yn on y1. That's actually I should probably write, sorry, this is a bit messy now, but I should probably write the last two just so we get it in exactly the same format. So yn minus 1 on yn plus yn on y1. That's kind of inserting just our definitions here into this inequality that we know holds. Now the beauty of this is the way this has all been defined, the y2's cancel, the y3's would cancel, theyn's cancel, and the yn minus 1's would cancel, and the y1's cancel. So this all simplifies to just 1 being less than or equal to 1 on n times y1 on y2 plus y2 on y3 and so on, plus yn minus 1 on yn plus yn on y1. And we're pretty much there because what we've got in these brackets here is what's here in the left-hand side of our inequality. We need an n over here, but we get that by just doing the multiplication. and our inequality will reverse if we reverse the side. So I might actually do that. I can say therefore this bit here, so this y1 on y2 plus y2 on y3 and so on, plus yn minus 1 on yn plus yn on y1, that is going to be greater than or equal to, bring the n up, n. And that's as required. Boom! So actually, even though this was the final part of this part A, I think by no means was the hardest part. I think it's actually a few easy extra marks up for grabs. I think the bulk of the work on this 8A was actually in the induction, I think. That's where all the hard work came in. And I guess the question writers thought, well, if you could get through that and you still got enough time in the exam, here's a few almost relatively easy marks that you can get if you can just make the link between what we've got here and what we just showed. So hopefully, now that you've seen this, that all makes sense and that you would be able to make that link if you're faced with something similar in an exam. And yeah, tick boom.